Hi everyone, Mo here, and I want to show you how to create an art journal page using glaze and Gelatos color cotton candy. For this project, you are gonna need the Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft glaze and a palette knife to apply the glaze, a stencil, some Gelatos colors, some paintbrush. I also have a coloring book page which is from my printable coloring book Farm Fresh. I printed it at a reduced size and then cut it out with scissors. I'm using watercolor paper today. This one, the size is 4.5 inches by 6 inches. You could cut it any size you really want. And let's start with applying some glaze medium. For this, I'm just gonna lay my stencil here. It's okay, and I think it's really more interesting if you let your stencil go off the page a little. So I'm going to place my stencil about here. This is a pretty well loved stencil, as you can see, and I'm going to just take some glaze medium with my palette knife, and I am just gonna apply it. When I work on projects like this, I really don't worry about being perfect. All I want to do is just have some fun, relax, and create a fun project. I'm not going to do the whole stencil. I'm just going to lift it off at this point and let it dry. There are some colors in my stencil, so some of it transferred here, and I'm okay with that. Before I can move on to the next step, I need to let this glaze medium dry. I can leave it to air dry, which of course takes longer. I can speed up the drying process with a heat tool. The only thing to remember when you are using a heat tool is do not hold it in one place for too long and do not hold it too close, because if you see that the medium is starting to bubble, that means it's overheating. My glaze medium is now dry. I am going to add my first wash of color using the Gelatos color cotton candy. For that, I am simply gonna rub it like this over my stenciled design, because I want to show you something cool that's going to happen when I start adding water. I have let the Gelatos color wash dry, and I am going to take a paper towel and dip it in water. You could also use a baby wipe. I just have a paper towel handy right now. And go over the stencil design and wipe it. The glaze medium, it created sort of a resist when I applied it through the stencil. So it's not perfect. As you can see, I didn't aim for perfect and it didn't turn out perfect, and that's okay. You could take the time and make it perfect if you like, but I just wanted some texture on my page, and I got that this way. So it acts as a resist to any subsequent wash of color on top. Next, I'm going to add my coloring page, which I reduced and printed and cut it out with scissors on the page. And I'm going to use the glaze medium as an adhesive right now. Even though it's not designed to be an adhesive, I use my glaze to blend, to create resist design, as you saw. And I can also use it as an adhesive and a sealer. Because it dries clear, I do not have to worry about being precise. And I like that because I really want my layers to be on so I can move to the next step, which is adding colors. So now I have added my coloring book page. Now I'm going to add more colors to my page. This is Margarita Mix. It's one of my very favorite greens. Then I have green tea. And as you can see, I am not worried about coloring within lines because this is not a project of that sort where I need to stay within lines. I am even going to add one of the iridescent gelatos called Comet. While in real life vegetables do not come with shiny leaves, it's still okay. It's an art journal page. I can take those liberties if I like. And so can you. In our farmers market every summer, we get these shops, these individual growers that bring their heirloom carrots, and they are so beautiful. Who knew carrots can be that delightful? I mean, I just keep visiting the farmers market to see all those lovely fresh colors. And I have grown to like vegetables at this point. I didn't like them as a child, but now I like vegetables roasted, and it's easy to do. That is a big factor. And I just enjoy the taste too. Just fresh from the grower means something to me now. It didn't when I was little. I'm also going to bring in some watercolor pencils. This is the Art Grip Aquarelle watercolor pencil to add some details. As you can see, I added quite a bit of water because when you don't add enough water, and I often find people quite afraid to add water. Don't be afraid to add water. It's a water soluble medium, and adding water helps bring out its beauty. Right here, even though it's totally outside the coloring page cutout, I think it needs a little red. And feel free, while your page is still wet and the colors are moving around with the water, feel free to turn your page around. Just see what happens. This is always an experimental process, and you do not always know in advance what's gonna happen, and that to me is really a big part of the fun. Not knowing what's gonna happen and being open and embracing whatever happens and then taking it as the starting point for the next step. So I will have to let that dry before I can add anything. Not that I plan on adding too much. I might add some colors to the stems just to give it a little more definition, the stems and the leaves. It's great because it's still wet. My watercolor pencils are getting activated immediately as soon as it's touching the paper. I think I'm going to add my journaling over here, but for that my page needs to be completely dry. I'm going to take my Pitt pen and write my journaling right here. I don't want to add too many scribbles and marks here because my focal point is really the part of the coloring page and the journaling. So I'm just going to leave it there as background texture. Here I could add a title. So let's see how to do that. I'm just going to take some gelatos. This is from the iridescent set and it is called Black Hole. It looks black, but it is really not black. It's a beautiful, dark, rich purple. And I really love this color. Maybe not traditionally considered a pretty color, but it really is pretty in context. And my title is going to be Heirloom. I'm not going to say Heirloom Carrots because that's just obvious. These are carrots, so let's just write Heirloom. Here's my finished page. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for watching.